What's up, everybody? It is I, Sigma, and we are back with episode 60 of the BBET GamesCast. I'm joined by Superman Jeff.
What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite superhero here.
As well as Mr. Gamer.
Hello there.
Blue Bones.
It's your boy. What's going on, everybody?
And I'd like to grant a special welcome to representatives from Chocolate City Comics, James Weems, and Anubis. What's up? Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming through.
Thank you, guys.
Really quick, we'll start with you, James. Can you just tell our viewers and listeners what it is what Chocolate City Comics is and what it is you do with them?
All right, so Chocolate City is a media platform. Pretty much, we're out here trying to push artists that don't have we need opportunity, especially to get out there, known out there. We're getting them shared with movie drives, promoting, pushing, just trying to get the black artists, whether they're drawing, writing, whatever, dancing, whatever we can do, cosplayers. So I handle a lot of the back end stuff, all the fun taxation and all that good stuff like that. I do a lot of boots and ground stuff. Yeah, I'm at a lot of conventions I cosplay, so talking to people. Some people just need a couple words here and there. A bit of a nudge, so I'm the nudger.
Nice.
I need to see what are your cosplays, though. Is it on your Instagram?
Okay. Yeah, on the Hero 1 cosplay is my Instagram.
Okay.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Anubis,
What's
how
your
about
favorite-
you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, what was your most recent or your favorite cosplay that you did recently?
My favorite, I did Captain America in 2018.
Oh.
And outside of the scorching heat in a full leather suit.
Snap.
The kids, just like, at the peak of Infinity War, kids are like all hyped up and see these kids' faces light up, whether, black kids or white kids, and their parents are like, "Mom, I need a picture with them," and the parents are like stopping me from across the street. Are they calling me? I realized that beyond just my friends having a good time, there's an effect that it has on people out with me while you're walking. I'm trying to go get some food, and I'm being stopped by people that just like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, this is great." Got pictures with my kids. So I think Captain America's my favorite, and Killmonger is a very cool second.
Nice.
I believe that. That's what's up.
Awesome. So, how about you, Anubis? What do you do with Chocolate City Comics?
So I got involved with Chocolate City Comics maybe about a year and some change ago. I had started to come out with my publication, Acid of the Gods, and immediately Toby and I just started kind of talking over the internet, had some similarities, and just a year went by and we became really close, and then he invited me to join and help out with Chocolate City Comics. So we're moving into the actual publication side as well. So we're going to start producing and publishing, our own Chocolate City Comics published titles and that sort of thing. So
nice.
Also too, yeah. So super dope. Got a huge following. So that's going to be exciting. And then there's a podcast. Not a podcast, but like a YouTube channel that we're developing with my 12-year-old son.
Oh, wow.
And then another young lady in the UK and her son. So it'll be interesting. We're just going to be doing reviews, comic book news, movies, you name it. Anything with black content, we're going to be talking about it. And then from the perspective of me being almost 40 and a nerd, and then my son being 12 and being a nerd as well. So it should be cool and different and kind of funky. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I also do nerd content with my son. He just turned 7 this past month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we actually stream together. So I'd love to see more stuff like that out in the ether. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice. So we're gonna basically go into, as we usually do, what we've been playing / watching for the week. Does anybody want to go first? I know we got a lot of people, so we'll try to keep it more succinct than usual. But anybody have a short list?
I would like to go.
All right, go right ahead.
Oh,
All right. So I'll keep it down to one each.
new video game that I've been playing. Just actually got finished playing it. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the Switch.
But you finished it?
On my buy list.
No. Playing it.
Okay, all right.
I just went into my first dungeon. I've never played the GameCube version. I've only heard of this game, and so everything is so weird. Like, you get orbs that give you spells, and you have to put them in a command list, and then you confuse some of them, but everything around you outside of this circle is miasma, and you got to bring it with you and doing. Oh, this is not like any Final Fantasy game I've ever played. So that was
curveball.
Really. And as far as what I have been watching, my wife and I started season 3 of Agrexco.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, how was it?
So they start. Sharks are being jumped is the best thing that I can tell you.
Oh no,
Sharks are being jumped. I can't say honestly. I can't say anymore. Whether you know nothing about the show or you have watched up until season 2, I am just going to tell you that they have pulled out more things to shock and emotionally hurt you now.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't know.
That doesn't encourage me to start
far.
but yet you want me to go through BoJack Horseman.
Right.
Because you're right. Okay. Because that is amazing.
It's just a good story.
A good story that hurts me. It's like they're like a speed bag to my emotions.
Oh man. It could be like that, yeah.
But cutting it down, and I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else want to volunteer to go next?
I got it. So Amazon dropped the beta for their new MMO, New World. I've been playing that. Yo, I'm playing the beta right now, and apparently the keys are out there. You just kind of do a little searching. It's pretty interesting, man. It's definitely different. It feels like. And I've been saying this a lot on stream too when I'm playing it. It feels a lot like Guild Wars 2 when it comes to a lot of the combat and the casting and even the look to a certain degree. But this game is so detailed. What was that?
The heavy Guild Wars vibes. I was getting the same thing.
Yeah,
looking at it.
Most definitely. But it's super deep in everything around it. And I think that this is one of those games where you don't have to go everywhere. You can just kind of stay in a town and make that your home. And do things around there. Now there might be invaders coming from other places, but you working on that town, you're building it up. You and your friends are supporting that area, so it's actually pretty interesting in that aspect. But
so I mean, on that note, it's an MMO, right? Which means you and your friends can, I guess, take over a town. But does that mean that other players can like try and also take over that town? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you actually have guilds where you can declare war on another guild that is a protector of an area to be the protector of that area, or run that place.
Oh, cool.
I don't know exactly what all the perks of that are, but I'm working on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So me and a couple of my friends ran through it, ran some of it yesterday, and me and Jeff still need to meet up. We've just been kind of playing phone tag. But I know he's gonna talk a little bit about it. I also I played a little bit of Smash this week. I've been practicing my Elf. If you've been watching Super Smash Sundays, you know that my Elf has been struggling monumentally.
I wouldn't say monumentally.
I mean,
it has been struggling. I'll give you that.
Struggling. It feels monumental to me. My biggest thing with Elf is I can get the damage on, I just can't finish. Because most of the time I have an enemy up into like 150 to 200%, and I just can't land a heavy hit that kills them because my Pikmin are all gone, or I'm just getting my helmet smashed in. Anyway, I'm still learning. I'm still working. And yeah, okay. So next game, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Just like Mr. Gamer mentioned, I've been rocking that. I'm actually been playing it with Tiger Piggy on Twitch, one of my homegirls from LA, and she hadn't played it before, but had watched a lot of playthroughs. I played it a little bit on the GameCube. I love it so far. just like Gamer said, it's different. This is kind of like Final Fantasy meets Diablo, and I think that's probably the best comparison. And it's got crazy.
I played it. Me and Casey actually played it together.
Yeah, like forever ago.
Back on GameCube.
But not for very long. I think it was just that day we played it.
Yeah. I feel the magma, like, just being stuck together in that area is kind of what killed it for me.
Oh, man. And that's, like, kind of the whole story and the pressure that they're trying to put on you. Maybe if you re-look at it again, you might have a different opinion. I don't think you would play through the whole thing.
Did they change that mechanic because it was like a 4-person co-op thing?
Yep.
But one person always had to carry that bucket around.
Chalice.
Is that still like how that functions?
That's the mechanic of the game. That's the whole story.
Yeah, it's probably still not gonna want to play that.
He's basically saying that they answered his question. He's not gonna go back.
Okay. Well, more for me. So, yeah, that's it for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And for the most part, the games I've been playing all kinds of little things, but nothing really of note. And then, as far as watching, I just finished the first episode of Great Pretender on Netflix.
Oh, I saw you post a screenshot about that.
Bro,
yeah, that show looks really cool.
It so far it looks super cool. It's about it reminds me, the first vibe I got was Catch Me If You Can. Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. Yeah,
I love that movie.
That is the vibe, especially the intro. First of all, the Catch Me If You Can intro. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was super dope. And you had the flat 2D animations, and they're kind of chasing each other. That's almost verbatim what they've done with this Netflix show. It's actually kind of cool. Yeah. Now that doesn't necessarily say the plot is the same, but it is about con men. And just real quick, in the very first episode, they do a really funny thing about with language barriers. I won't go into the details, but it starts off in Japan, and you have a Japanese native and a tourist flying to Los Angeles. Granted, I'm from LA. They did a really good job of depicting what LA looks like. Like, it brought me back home. But seeing them talk to each other in English, think in Japanese or French, and then come back together in English is really interesting. And they even drop some Spanish in there too. So definitely, I watched the first part of the episode twice. Once with the Japanese sub, and then once with the English, the English
dub
voice acting, the English dubs. Yeah, and at a certain point, they say, "Okay, we're just going to translate everything from here." They actually stop the episode and say, "We're going to translate it from here." But everything before that is really cool. I definitely encourage you to watch it twice and think about it. But that's basically what I've been getting into this week.
Nice. James, Anubis, you guys want to go next?
Sure, I'll go. I cannot stop playing Final Fantasy 14. I don't know why.
Sound like somebody I know.
I don't really have much to do in the game, but I can't put it down. So that's all I've been playing. A splash of Call of Duty here and there. But I get in these moods where I get into like a Final Fantasy 14 binge, and my life is ruined for like 2-3 months.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
really in one of those.
That's the way to do it.
You just ruin your life.
I just get on. I get on with Frank Chris, and we just run through roulette, and we goof off on Mike the whole time. Because it's all absent-minded because I'm, like I said, I'm a tank and I'm extremely geared, so it's not like I have to struggle or anything like that. And he's a white mage, so we're good.
Oh yeah.
But watching wise, I haven't really watched anything. I watched some Black Panther for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been, all free time has been college work or Final Fantasy 14. Splash with me. So that's all.
What are you enjoying the most in the latest update?
I like the new dungeon. I'm big on dungeons. I like the new dungeon, even though when I played the story, I have no idea how we got where we got there, and I watched all the cutscenes and I was so confused. I was like, why is he flying a whip all of a sudden?
Right?
But yeah, no, it was actually the first time in FF14 where I could feel my heartstrings being tugged, heavy tugged.
Yes.
Like the stuff with Mentelia in the early Shadow Bring stuff was definitely like plucking at the heartstrings, but then the
Little bit,
last
yeah.
little cut scene with the mount and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, man.
Oh boy.
They put their foot in that story.
I was like, I'm onions. Who cut onions in my house? What's going on here? It was rough, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. Like, I'm actually sitting right next to my SF7
There you
remake
go.
box.
Oh wow.
Hey.
So there's always some heartstrings being tugged, whether it's, you know, Avalanche and SF7, Luna Freya, and SF15. SF15 as a whole, honestly, the game was depressing start to finish.
Mhm.
Like, outside of the Ha Bros road trip,
Yeah.
everything else sucked. It was a bad time for everyone involved. It's probably the worst SF world to live in was SF15 world.
Wow.
Oh man.
Hot take.
Okay.
All right.
Not a good time, man.
No sweat, bro.
Does that wrap things up for you?
Yep.
Anubis, did you want to go next, or Jeff, or myself?
Yeah, man. So I've been playing The Last of Us 2.
Nice.
Before. Super dope story. Very, very detailed. And this is my second go at it on a harder level. And bro, like, it's crazy. So like the story dynamics and how they intertwine the characters reminds me of Crash, the movie Crash.
Yeah. Okay.
Characters interwoven and they haven't even met each other, but their lives
They
are
met
like,
each other.
you know, at the pinnacle, right? And then when they do happen to come across each other, bro,
All problems.
All bad.
Oh.
yeah. It's mad drama between these two chicks, bro. Like, it's
Okay.
and it's not a cat fight. They throwing haymakers at each other. yeah. Real talk. So, man, I mean that's the only thing I get to that I've been playing so far. I don't have a lot of time to play in as much as I'd like to. Just building businesses and stuff like that. But I have been getting into Lovecraft. I know that's probably all over the internet and everything. But
man, I need to do that.
I really enjoy that show for various reasons. I'm a self-proclaimed historian. So that time, that history, and a lot of the things that have the little Easter eggs in that show, man, I'm just kind of like, that's not fiction. That's real.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
For
So
real.
you got to pick out of, you know, the actual story, the fiction from like the real happened.
Yeah.
And you know, it's great entertainment, man.
Yeah.
Black horror is something different, bro. It is something different. I don't like horror films. I love black horror, and I'm like
it's
getting more and more into
it's so relatable.
Yeah, 'cause
Exactly.
They do a great job, but like you said, putting in the real. So like sundown towns.
Yeah.
You can't be there after sundown.
shit.
You know what's gonna happen.
And they
Like-
still exist.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
being someone from, like born, you know, within the last couple years or so. You might not understand that that's actually real. You're like, oh, that's
Right.
just for the show, but no, that is
No, that's
legit.
real.
Yeah,
And, you know, they kind of did the same thing with The Watchmen. you
Yes.
know?
bro.
Yeah.
That was the next step right there. Oh god,
Bro,
Watchmen is so
and,
good.
Like, I've known about Tulsa. I've read about Tulsa. My granny grew up in Tulsa. You know what I'm saying?
Never seen it like that, though.
hit for me. I was just like, oh, shit, like, that's crazy, you know? And, you know, for me being so heavy into self-defense, martial arts, and firearms, I'm like, well, if you want to, come up in here. You know what I'm saying? The mindset. You know what I mean? So, you know, when they made that scene so real and so vivid, I was just kind of like, damn.
Yeah, it really puts you there. Like it like brings up. And the thing is, like, we're all black men. Like, we have these emotions and these things and these thoughts in us.
Yeah.
And like when it's portrayed in this way in these medium, it's like it really kind of gives you a form of catharsis. I feel like.
I was gonna say validation. Like, okay,
Right,
somebody else feels exactly what this is.
And
you know what I mean?
they
we'll
do a
talk
great
about
job at putting it in there to make it part of the story, not make the story fit that. They intertwine it.
Without making it trauma porn. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's a for real period piece without sugarcoating or kind of
Exactly.
brushing over it like it's such a part of the interwoven pieces of it, but they use it to push along the narrative. You know what I'm saying? So super dope.
Right, I'm definitely gonna check that out eventually. Finishing up some stuff myself. Was that it for what you're watching?
Yeah, that's all I got time for, bro.
No,
I feel you.
Yeah, man.
I can go next. I did play a little bit around in that Marvel's Avengers beta.
Oh
I
yeah.
could play that too. Yeah, I forgot about
Because
that.
I do want to get you guys' opinion if you touched on it as well. Because I've been pretty loudly proclaiming how awful.
Roasting it.
I don't think that game looks good at all. I hate all the business strategy and stuff that they have surrounding that game. But as a games critic, I'm like, all right, well, if I have the opportunity, I'm gonna at least get my hands on it and see how it feels because none of it looked good.
No.
And even though I went into it with a certain kind of opinion and dislike, I still feel like the game is pretty much what I thought it was, in all honesty. Like, it's not well put together. Like, yes, it's visually kind of stunning. Like, the graphics are good. Like, the set pieces are, like, big and bombastic, but that's kind of all that's there. It feels a lot like any other... Well, no, not even, because the movies at least have, kind of a through line that like sucks you in. They have like good character moments and stuff, Matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because remember the whole thing where Scorsese was like Marvel movies are like garbage or whatever. I can't remember his exact quote.
Yeah.
But like Scorsese,
Cinema? I saw
yes,
something like that?
right, yeah. I understand what he means now, not in terms of Marvel movies, but in terms of like video games as a medium. Because, yes, the Marvel movies probably don't hit a lot of the same cinematic notes as something that Scorsese would have done. So to him, who's kind of, an auteur, like a very talented filmmaker, blah, 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 he's like, okay, this is cheap, this is cheap, this is cheap. Yes, it's working because it's popular and it's doing this thing right and that thing right. But this isn't what a movie was supposed to be. And, I see that in Avengers. It's like this whole thing is a marketing ploy. They have the IP, they have the explosions, they have the characters you love, but everything else in there is like bits and pieces of other things in gaming that was supposed to be popular. Like the Batman combat system, for example, or games as services, like loot grinding. Like none of those things have really all that much to do with the gameplay, but they're in there because they're popular. So it just feels cheap.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I played it.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the story feels very thrown together. So it's like this happened, and then we have Inhumans. So it was a way for them to introduce Kamala Khan. The story doesn't feel like it's very fleshed out. So it just kind of just rolls into it. Like they cause all this disaster in New York. They got black.
San Fran.
Yeah, I think it's San Fran. It's like the Golden Gate Bridge they destroyed.
Then they're on the run. You play as the Hulk for that first beginning half of it, and it just feels very congested. Kind of like the sandbox is just very small. I don't know if it opens up later, but being the Hulk, you kind of want to jump and go and do
Stretch.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very. It makes you claustrophobic because it's so big, but the areas you're fighting in are so small. That's another thing, and then
I think they're trying to give you that bull in the china shop feel. You know what I mean? Like when you're in a room, everything.
Exactly.
It feels
destroying
like
everything. It feels great.
it feels more like a Sega Genesis game when you get that very small level and you can only see as far as the screen goes. When you're playing it as an Avenger, even if I'm playing as a super powered individual, let's say like DC Universe. DC Universe, I got a whole city I could fly around to. Even in
That's
Spider-Man.
an MMO though.
Same thing. Same thing.
That's an MMO.
Same thing.
Not the same.
Yes, it is.
Not the same.
Spider-Man gives you the same exact feel. What I'm saying is, it's the same thing where I'm playing as a super-powered individual. You're giving me all these powers, but I'm confined to this small little closet you got me working.
You're saying like a linear action-based game doesn't really fit the Avengers as characters.
Yeah, and because it points you everywhere it wants you to go.
Right.
This is what we want.
It's very linear. At least the missions in that beta.
Yeah, you need to do this to go over there. It's very like, remember how Kingdom Hearts was in the beginning? Press A to do this during a fight. Like it's all these little quick time events that you just press the button to do. And that's kind of what it feels like. I don't know if it opens up later, but that's what the beta feels like.
Okay,
So is
so
it-
I want to say, hold on. I'm stewing.
No, go ahead. 'Cause I think James has a counter opinion.
me too.
So first and foremost, let's start with that whole Golden Gate Bridge scene. That stuff was beautiful.
To look at, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Switching to the Hulk, when you're playing as the Hulk and you're running through that bridge, and you're controlling this, you're not watching this. Jumping from wall to wall, like what you guys want. You're plowing through vehicles. You're throwing guys off bridges if you choose to. And then you switch, you have the whole stuff with Black Widow, and she has a real hate boner for Taskmaster for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But she
was
hates
very
this guy like for real.
Yeah, that's kind of
very
very towards the
anyway.
movie. But I had a quick question for you about the Hulk
Yeah.
thing. So the Hulk, right? He's jumping from thing to thing. Let me ask you a question. The Hulk, he can jump pretty far, right? He can jump kind of high.
Maybe he's just conserving his energy, bro.
It defeats the purpose of jumping from here to here if this man could jump all the way over that. If you were actually playing as the Hulk and had all his abilities at your disposal. I mean, he didn't get depowered.
Right,
He's
but
not hurt.
So
that's what I mean by
game
scale
ever
it
like
down.
that.
Yeah.
come on.
No game ever like that.
When you played as the other Hulk game for 360, you were actually able to break cards
But
apart.
you
Put them
can
on
get
your
shot
fin.
and die as the Hulk,
Hey,
Yeah,
and
like
you got depowered.
you
you
don't
can't have an OP character
No,
from the
it doesn't
get-go,
have to
like-
be OP, but it just feels scaled. Like I said, you have this superpowered individual just in this small closet. So like you're making it, they're
Alright, so-
drawing it back.
No, I get what he's saying. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, James.
Go
So
James.
skip the whole Golden Gate Bridge ordeal. Once you get through the initial little mission with Kamala and Banner, you get to the little shield base or whatever. There's a lot of interactions that you get between Banner and Kamala that are straight from their characters in the comic book. Kamala is a huge fangirl. That's her thing. And she's fangirling the entire time. And you have Bruce Banner and this mentor-esque role as well in that ship. And I think that is a perfect nod to how those two characters would interact in their respective books. Now, as far as the Bullet and China Shop ordeal, I love it. And it does feel kind of tight sometimes, but I hate the Hawks or whatever. You need to hit on there. There's missions that you get where you can literally explore this giant, vast area. Like one of the missions you're taking over a hidden aim base out in the fucking tundra somewhere, and there's plenty of real estate. It's not a open world adventure game like Spider-Man is. It's not an MMO like DC Universe is. It's an action RPG first. And with it being co-op, when you pull the scale in, you can do more stuff. So when you have co-op games, giant world, it gets nasty.
Yeah.
It gets weird. It's not a good time. The loot system, once again, fits the theme of it being an RPG. Even though I think some games like Anthem get the loot system wrong, I think it is a good thing to have to keep your game alive because you have a reason to play the game.
Yeah,
Like with
and
Spider-Man,
you have
Spider-Man, when I beat it, I was done. I did everything, and I want to play it. There's nothing to do. I can always go back through with the Avengers game if I was looking and get another gear set for someone else or whatever
different
I'm
builds.
choose to do. Now, I do have a problem with the business model. Apparently, each character has its own battle pass, which is extremely greedy.
Absolutely, though.
Oh, hold on one
Oh
second.
no.
Yeah, we.
I don't think he should have said that. I don't think he should have told us
Wow,
that.
Marvel kind of just cut his connection.
That
Marvel's
was
like, let's
the
shut it
time.
down.
The timing was just too perfect.
There
And
we
he's
go.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
The battle pass is great. Beautiful. Great ordeal. I love it. But I was concerned going into it because the roster is not my huge my favorites. I went in with the idea that I was going to be playing Iron Man, and I hate how he feels.
Yeah, Iron Man
Widow.
section on that bridge was the worst.
Widow with the hand.
She does feel the best with the grappling
Yeah.
hooks and whatnot.
Yeah, she feels good. Captain America feels good as well.
Yeah, I like the Captain America section probably the most because it felt the most like a complete thing. Like, it felt like you could build a whole game around his movesets and have him go on that whole adventure by himself. That would have been fun. I feel like they're doing too much, and then, like, they're spreading themselves too thin, so, like, none of these systems are going to be as deep as you would want.
Yeah, I do wish I wish there was a little bit more of a built-in team attack mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Like you can do
like
it out because
Alliance or some shit.
yeah, or something like that. Like you can do it because we're all gamers. We know how to combo off each other. But still, it'd be nice to see like a team attack prompt, especially on the bigger, healthier mobs. But I took the time to play all the way through it. I beat the beta according to the beta, and if I hadn't played all the way through it and played some co-op missions, I might have been on the fence still. But it's enough for me to want to buy. I actually decided to get it on Xbox instead of PS4 because I don't feel the need for Spider-Man in that game. They're not going to wait for 2021 to play Spider-Man. I don't think there's the way Widow plays and the way Kamala talks. I think that my needs are fulfilled. I'll stop being a fanboy.
I see that, and you know
Hey,
what?
Did you have? Okay.
Well, yeah, I've been holding a lot of into. I really feel like
Nice.
what?
No, he just showed the Spider-Man shirt.
Oh, that's what's up. I really feel like this game is for people more like James and less like Sigma. And I think, like, when you mentioned what Scorsese said, it just really, I don't know, it felt really elitist.
It does.
Yeah. Like,
now,
this isn't a game because of XYZ.
But the thing is, I understand, like, what he meant. It was like, it is very much so kind of like a popcorn, like, there's not a bunch of thought and depth put into this as a game. It's more so a product for consumers. Like, that's how I feel about it. Like, for the Marvel fans, they're going to eat this up no matter what. Like, they love these characters. They want to run around with them. They don't care if the combat isn't deep, if the loot boxes are predatory. Like, they don't care about that stuff. They just want to play as the characters.
You know what happened to me.
Be careful.
No negative talk.
Be careful what you say.
So
I think a good way to compare it, it's like these are both games, just like having Outback Steakhouse and McDonald's is both having food.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's significantly more time, prep, and everything that goes into whatever it is that they're going to make for you at Outback Steakhouse. But if you're just hungry, you could just go to McDonald's.
And it's still be good.
McDouble slaps.
It'll slap. You can
Whatever.
Big double slaps.
Let's reel it back. Casey, was that all you kind of been playing? Was that
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, I forgot that was that this was my section. Damn.
I was really liking this.
All right, I mean, we can maybe touch on it later when we go into the rest of the comic stuff.
Yeah.
But I did also check out Battletoads. I actually reviewed it for Escapist. That review is up.
How's that?
That game is actually very fun. I was not the biggest Battletoads fan back in the day. Like, those games were notoriously, like, super difficult. But one thing most people won't tell you is that they were actually also pretty bad. Like, they were badly balanced, which is why they were so difficult. But this one,
games back then, honestly.
right? Yeah, honestly, a lot of games were just broken in terms of difficulty. But this new one, I really like what they did. They make fun of themselves, like the fact that they've been gone for 26 years, the fact that their story isn't all the most fleshed out. Like, there are a bunch of jokes about whether or not the Battletoads are friends or brothers, because they're like, yeah, we don't ever really talk about it. I don't know. So like it's like funny stuff like that. Like, they really poke a lot of fun at themselves. Like, the bad guys are hilarious, the good guys are hilarious. Like, I would love to see that as like a show, like a TV show, a cartoon. Like, a lot of people were kind of iffy about the art style because they said it reminded them of Teen Titans Go. But at least these guys know I'm a fan of Teen Titans Go. I don't think that show was bad. That show was very funny.
Really
if
well
you
written.
think Teen Titans Go is a bad show, you're stuck with nostalgia, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
it was mad?
Like, it's hilarious.
Like, it just doesn't take itself so seriously.
Yeah,
And, like,
exactly.
Battletoads kind of thrives off of that. Like, in terms of the gameplay, though, it does what the older games did, which I came to find out is, yes, it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but they throw in all these, like, kind of side distractions and mini-games as well. And they're kind of all over the place in terms of genre. So while the beat-em-up is kind of the main focus, that kind of gets equal attention with like shoot 'em up sections where you're flying a spaceship and shooting all sorts of stuff in like a bullet hell type thing. Little platforming sections with like little puzzles that you got to solve. They even had like this like WarioWare type thing where you're looking at a control panel and like you have to do one of like 12 things in each individual box, and like each of those things are connected to specific buttons on your controller. So it's like you're under a time limit and you have to kind of mash your buttons and see what reacts to what you're doing and then see what's happening there and then do that little mini game in time and then move on to the next one. So it was very stressful. There's kind of way too much of the like the smaller stuff to pad the stuff that's not the beat 'em up stuff. And it can get bogged down sometimes. So when I was playing solo, I feel like the beat 'em up stuff is probably the strongest section, and the minigame stuff is maybe the weakest. But when you switch to co-op, it gets reversed. Because all of a sudden you have 3 Battletoads on screen, they ramp up the amount of enemies, and you cannot tell what the hell's going on in a fight. Like, it's just way too colorful, it's way too hectic.
Oh no.
Yeah, like, it becomes a real hassle. But then the minigames turn into, like, the most fun. Because, like, each person kind of gets some sort of control over what's happening. And it's like a Mario Party-esque thing where you're yelling at each other because people aren't doing something right and, like, we're failing. Because, like, it just turned into, like, so much fun when I was playing with my other 2 reviewers. So, like, I really found the game to be, like, a very unique experience that overall was just really fun. There's definitely some rough edges that could be sanded out. But I would definitely recommend it. It sucks, though, that it doesn't have online co-op. You have to have people in the same room with you, or you use Steam's remote play feature, which has its own issues. But that was kind of where I left off with that. And in terms of what I'm watching, I just started JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind.
Oh my gosh.
And I love the JoJo series. It's real stupid, but like in a good way.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. But so far, Golden Wind has not been as interesting as any of the ones that have come before it. But I'm still like in the early sections. So hopefully something will, like a switch will flip and it'll come around for me. But otherwise, I'm a fan.
I've tried watching that, bro.
Like, what is it you don't like about JoJo? Like, start there.
gotta
That I
go in
spent
there.
time watching it. That's what I don't like about it.
Swears by, bro. I'm like, I'm not giving that time.
I watched
I
a
saw
simple
a snippet of
episode.
the episode he was watching.
Yeah.
I was like, what the?
Yo, that's the thing. You can't just go off the snippets because the snippets will give you
No.
that. Because I'll say that multiple times while I'm watching, and I love it.
No, bro. I've seen the snippets, and then I watched the actual episode. I'm like, well, the snippet didn't really give me much, or like it didn't help or hurt. It was just there.
Yo,
Like it was
there's
just the
no
next
way
scene.
that you can just jump into JoJo's not from episode 1. Snippet doesn't do nothing for you because you be like, what the hell is happening?
No, I watched a couple. I think I went 3 or 4 episodes in, and I was like, why? Who cares? What does this have to do with anything? Like, none of the characters draw me in. They're just mad extreme for no reason.
Honestly,
I'm not rooting for any of them.
The first season, I could feel that. I didn't really get attached to any character until the second season, and then that's when it got wild.
I think for me to get into this, I would have had to like been watching it week to week with somebody and like been hyped up and then be like, oh, okay, well that was kind of weird. But now like I'm looking at it overall, I'm just like this.
I feel like
an
you
ultimate
kind of
time.
got to think of it as a parody of itself in a way, because like JoJo's a
But I
very
don't know
old.
what it is.
But his thing, you know what anime is, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. JoJo was like, it's an old school anime, right? A lot of different shows stole a lot of its, well, not stole, but like was inspired by a lot of its character design, powers, abilities, tropes from JoJo. Like JoJo kind of started a lot of what you know as the shonen genre, right? But the thing is, JoJo was so melodramatic and extra about how it does everything. It kind of turns into like a big joke. It's like, okay, I know a character who's like this, and this is like the most extreme and ridiculous version of this kind of character. So like it's like the fact that they had this whole pose, like the characters in Golden Wind, right? When the main character Giorno like first shows his standoff to the guy he's fighting, like the stand is like in this weird Vogue pose, and he's like behind it, like hugging his hips. I'm like, why would you ever pose like this with anything? Like it's just a WTF moment. And it's like it's so funny when you just kind of see it in that context. So I love it. Golden Wind it's still not doing it for me yet in terms of like the story it's telling, but I still want to give it a chance. Like I love JoJo as a franchise. Like it's pretty funny to me.
I think for me, JoJo is that McDonald's in that analogy that we were talking about earlier. And like God of High School is like Roots Chris, you know what I mean?
All right, well that pretty much does it for me in terms of what I've been playing / watching. Everyone else went, correct? No, Jeff didn't go. All right.
No.
Go ahead.
I'll be quick because we're running on time. So most recently I played Mortal Shell. Oh my god, I'm about to say Dark Shell. Okay, I played Mortal Shell.
I'll be quick.
I'm like, is it Dark Shell or is it Shell of Souls? I'm like, what was it again? Okay, so I played Mortal Shell. So that was a Souls-like game. It's only supposed to be like 12 hours long, but it feels very fleshed out in that beginning time. It doesn't feel like a $30 game in the beginning. Now it's not that long, or it doesn't require that much time to beat because there's not that many areas. So like I was able to run from like the starting area to the ending area, in a matter of like 5 minutes, just because it's not that far off. But there are bosses placed in between all those areas that you got to go and beat, and you got to collect the different shells. The shells are kind of like Iron Man armor for the most part. You go in, you're the little gooey stuff. You go into the next shell. Each one has different stats, different abilities, and you have to go get those shells, unlock their abilities, and different things like that. The combat is very Souls-like, where it is very punishing, especially until you kind of get the hang of the mechanics.
You got punished a lot on stream.
Yes, I did manage to get all the shells except for one. I think I have to go back and get. I beat the first boss.
What was the name of the first boss? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was like a porcupine looking.
It was
big,
weird.
Like tree folk looking gremlin thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be.
Tree folk gremlin.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he was very simple. And most huger enemies, their mechanics are kind of usually very simple. He had like maybe 3 main attacks, but anyway, I beat him. It's very rewarding when you actually do beat there. There are also NPCs in the game. I don't think like Dark Souls. I don't think you can kill those NPCs. I think they're just there. The game does have a few wonky moments where I was fighting an enemy. I knocked him off of I thought I knocked him off the hill. He was standing on nothing and still fighting me. So like the hill.
Yeah.
Was he was still standing there and fighting me. So I'm like, okay. But so far the game's very good. I think I'm actually almost done with it. Then I played some New World, the beta. I played that yesterday for about like 5 hours. The mechanics are very fun. They do feel like Guild Wars 2 a little bit. It also reminds me of Elder Scrolls Online. Like the combat's very much.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing in it when I was watching Blue play.
Yeah, like the skills. I mean, you don't know much. You play like an hour.
That's not true. That's not true.
Like an hour.
I got up several levels. In ESO.
In the Twitch chat, they were arguing about this.
Yeah. So the combat's very fluid. The story, I'm still taking it in. There are a lot of fetch quests, and I think that's because it's the beginning. It's trying to teach you. So like, hey, it teaches you to the stone. You got to go to the stone cutting table to kind of understand how to turn your flint into actual stones and stuff like that. So it takes you in all these areas just to kind of learn the basics of all the crafting, the town mechanics, where if your group controls that town, you get different buffs. So you can put a buff on that gives you like plus 5% experience. If your town holds that area, you get tax-free stuff at the trader. So there's like a trader kind of like World of Warcraft where you could put items on there. Kind of like a Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, you can put them on there. You can sell them to other players. You can buy stuff off of there. They do give you most of the weapons in the very beginning. So you get it's a healing staff, a fire staff, a hammer, a sword, and a shield. So you can kind of play with all those to kind of figure out what you want. Now the good thing is like
hatchet too.
Yeah, like most games, it doesn't give you skill points for your weapons based on your level. You can level up those weapons individually.
Nice.
And they give you points. So
yeah,
like
I like that.
You might have like 17 skill points for your weapons and only be like level 5. So that's a good thing. So it kind of lets you get that experience with the weapons.
Did you try out a couple of the weapons? Do they feel different from one another?
I tried them all. The hammer feels very different. The sword it's very fluid. There's different like attacks, so you can put different skills. So like QR and whatever the other one is, W.
E.
No, W is
no.
QRE. Yes, you're right.
Is it E? Yeah, okay.
Okay. So you can put
Looking at my
three skills to that abilities. There's also passives, but like the healing staff felt completely different than the fire staff. So there's different moves for both, but the magic does definitely feel like the magic from Elder Scrolls. So it does feel very similar to that.
One thing I wanted to mention real quick about New World is some of the weapons you didn't mention, the bow and the musket, are actually pretty interesting because they take you. It's still for it. You know what I mean? It's still third person, but it zooms in really far, and you're looking almost person view. Headshots actually count, not just with projectiles, but even with melee weapons. And
see, when you said aiming, I thought you meant kind of like a first-person view, because that's how it is in Elder Scrolls Online. When you use the bow, you kind of go into like the crosshair comes up, and you can kind of position where you want to shoot.
That's exactly what happens, but it's not first person. Like you're just over the shoulder, so it's technically third person. But yeah, no, you're aiming your bows, you're aiming your muskets, and your magic too. It's not just an auto lock. You're actually have to aim and like track somebody. You gotta shoot where someone's gonna be if they're moving.
Yeah, I definitely prefer that in terms of combat for like an action RPG than what has happened in the past. Like I can't deal with Final Fantasy's combat. It feels so automatic to me, or looks so automatic to me rather.
I got you.
But aside from that, all I've been watching is I caught up on Fire Force. Got a high school. I just finished the last episode of that. It was a real big cliffhanger for that.
What was that, a season finale or?
No, I don't think that was a season finale. It was only like episode 8 or something.
8.
Right?
Yeah, there's 13 in this season.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's all I've been playing and watching.
Cool. So, thanks for sharing, guys. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our topics. Yes, we're gonna skip Super Smash Sunday again this week. Sorry, Smashers, but it will be back. We just have a lot of stuff to get through. Gonna go through our quick updates real quick, like the name suggests. First up,
good job.
First up, we have an update on the situation, which you may not have actually heard us talk about, because that might have been on episode 59, which is buried to the sands of time. But
actually, yeah, that
whole situation that I know you know about, where Epic Games and Apple have basically gone head to head in terms of legal disputes. Just to summarize real quick, Epic pushed Apple's buttons by releasing their own store to kind of undercut Apple's 30% cut from their app store. Apple banned them because that breaks their terms of service, and Epic filed a lawsuit saying that they are making it a monopoly, that they don't allow competition on their store. So that's an ongoing battle. Apple then countered by saying, you know what, we're going to go a step further. If you don't stop this nonsense, we're deleting all of the Unreal Engine developer tools in our store, which means anyone who uses Unreal Engine, which is, a ton of people and developers, they're just not going to be allowed to make stuff on the App Store. And that's a big issue. So, Epic, fired back about that, of course, to the judge. They complained like, hey, Apple is not playing fair right now. So the courts did say, you know what, Apple, you can't do that, but they don't have to put your app back on their store just yet. So they're still kind of at a standstill the last time I've checked. I think there might have been something that happened very recently that I haven't gotten a chance to dive deep into, so there may be another update on this going forward, but so far, this battle between these two billion-dollar companies that they want to drag the little people into is still ongoing. So,
right.
A small thing, Microsoft did write a letter of support for Epic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. It's pathetic. I love it.
I mean, so a third billion-dollar company weighed in on this situation. That's interesting.
They're in the background saying the fame.
They're like, yeah, get them. We're like, fight.
We want, keep this for us. We want smart glass on iPhones.
Oh, real quick. Speaking of which, Xbox introduced that stream to phone ordeal, whatever.
Right,
recently.
xCloud, yes.
xCloud, whatever. I got the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that stream system is surprisingly good. It's not great by any means, but it's surprisingly good. I was able to play a couple games of 2K like on my phone with no lag, no frame rate drop, nothing. And I'm expecting some garbage tier type stuff, but they shocked me.
Yeah, I was also impressed with that. Like I tested it out early on my phone, and it
like last
functioned.
year,
Yeah, like it functioned normal. I played like a match of Halo 5 and actually like was on the winning team. So
Yeah, it's
Like you had
So-
to add that in there, right? You had to
right,
put that in
because you would think that a shooter would make you play worse, but like no, I kind of did fine with a controller in hand. But off of that, our second quick update, Mulan, which we all know was going to be not coming to theaters and instead being sent to digital services, was going to hit with a $30 price tag, even if you paid for Disney Plus already. So apparently they're walking that back now. It's no longer going to be $30. It's now going to be free to Disney Plus subscribers, which I think makes a lot more sense. I don't know if this was their plan all along, or the backlash from people, like maybe it didn't sell as much as they were hoping because of this, perhaps, and now they kind of just want to appease people. I don't know.
Anytime I hear a story like this, there was some sort of psychological theory where you introduce something to a crowd of people that is going to be 10 times worse than what you plan on doing. They get mad at you, and then so you go back to your original plan just to see if you could just get away
with it. Yeah.
That's the first thing that I thought of with this, because there were going to be a huge number of whales that they knew they would be able to get money from. But there was enough backlash where it's like, okay, guys, let's go back with the original, not as greedy idea. Just put it back on there, okay? We only have enough money to have our oxygen supply in the stratosphere.
Like
Not upset.
What if those early adopters get upset then? Like they feel slighted because they paid for a thing that's now free. Like, don't they complain sometimes? Or you're saying it probably wouldn't be enough to move the needle?
That doesn't matter. Money has already, like, they already got their money. It's like, oh yeah, I hate Nike. Let me go burn the Nikes that I own. Like,
right.
I mean, and doesn't games already do that? Where if you're got a season pass on something and you play it, the next time a season pass comes up, they give the new people all that stuff plus what they're getting out.
But that's over a longer time frame. Like this was like the following week. Was it 3 months? No.
Mulan's already out.
When did Mulan come out? When did it first come out? Like last week,
Mulan
right?
comes out.
Or did it not even come out yet?
It's out.
It's not out yet.
It was out.
Yeah.
September 4th.
Okay, so it hasn't come out yet.
September, October, November, December. So it's still about 3 months.
But the thing is, it's not out. Like it hasn't come out yet. That's the thing.
No, I'm saying is
$30
when it does come out,
right.
it'll be 3 months after.
It'll be 3 months after what though?
But
After the release date, if you're saying it comes out in September, it's coming out in December.
People have the
for free.
option.
Yeah, if you want to see it
People have
early.
the option now to pay for it.
It's a time thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So when it first releases, it's still 30.
Yeah.
that's what
And then
I'm
3
saying.
months after. Okay.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yes.
don't dumb me.
This is no different, in my opinion, than going to see a movie in theaters
And then waiting for it to hit.
then waiting for it to come on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Honestly.
I don't know. I feel like that's still a shorter time frame. Like I don't feel like a movie goes from theater to
in
Netflix within
COVID.
3 months.
Look,
We in
look,
COVID.
man.
You can,
And they're gonna pirate it real quick, so you might as well just try. And
Like maybe from theater to DVD in 3 months, but not from theater to streaming service.
usually
Well,
it's not going from theater; it's from streaming service to
Yeah.
streaming service.
Well, yeah, that's the difference, right?
But the turnover time for like the Avengers movies, the last few was insanely fast from the streaming.
Yeah, because it depends on how good the movie. It
Yeah.
depends on how good the movie
Yeah.
did in the theaters. Is how long it usually takes for a movie to go to DVD.
That's true.
I don't have an issue with the pay $30 now or wait later. It's no different, in my opinion, to any normal movie watching.
Yeah, I think
All
that's the best way. What do you think, Anubis? You've been quiet, bro.
I ain't paying. The homies got the plug on it. It came out in Japan a month ago. I'm about to get that streaming with the little Japanese subtitles at the bottom and just watch it.
Like you do you.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for our quick updates. We're going to move into our regular topics. Before we get to the DC Fandome stuff, have quick TV news. Blue, what do you got?
Man, let me tell you. Powerpuff Girls, man. They trying to bring it back live action. First of all, it's the CW that's doing this. I have zero faith in this. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's gonna be wonderful.
Well, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna do what they did to Archie. They're gonna make it like a teen drama type situation.
The Riverdale effect, right?
But what you got, Jeff? You want to tell us?
No, go ahead. My bad.
The girls are older now. They're in school and they're kind of disillusioned. And I wouldn't even say, well, yeah, they're disillusioned now. They're in their 20s, excuse me, and they're really just kind of recovering from being superheroes, I guess, and trying to.
PTSD sounds heavy.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So it's gonna be that. And you just know that the looks are gonna be funky because these girls normally don't even look human. You know what I mean?
I think that's besides the point. If they go in live action, I don't think that's that much of an issue.
Could you imagine if they went live action and CGI the little nub hands instead of actual?
No, right?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that'd be terrible.
Let me tell you something. If they start off this show talking about their hands and talking about the mayor, like making a whole bunch of jokes, I might be on board.
Like,
if it's jokes.
What if they have the same opening?
Yo,
No.
honestly,
I can't
live
see that.
action. It would be fantastic though.
like I gotta be honest. When this story was first posted and I read like the synopsis, I'm like, this is not a bad concept. Like the fact that they're looking at them, like they're not ignoring. Yeah, they're not trying to make a new version of the Powerpuff Girls. They're saying everything you know about them existed. This is kind of a future where now this is kind of how they ended up. I'm like, this could be a very interesting character story, right? But when I saw CW was attached,
I was about to say,
like I kind of went like, because all CW seems to care about is like really attractive people, like kind of love triangles.
yeah.
And like even in one of their best shows, which was The Flash, like The Flash season 1 and 2 was probably some of the best TV I've watched on CW. It eventually kind of went down that path of just kind of being overly obsessed with love triangles and like just dumb monster of the week situations. Like it, I don't know. I just lost all faith in that channel giving me like good TV. Like Supernatural is probably the only exception.
I'm a gigantic fan of the CW verse for DC shows, but Arrow and Flash had the same fatal flaws, and those flaws' names are Felicity and Iris.
Yes, like they.
Well, they weren't the flaws. It's how they started to change those characters.
Yeah, over time. Yeah, over time.
That's what I'm saying. So I was getting there. So if they had left when Oliver and Felicity first got engaged, and that was it, and they got married and they went from there, it'd have been fine. If we didn't have this constant back and forth with Barry and Iris about they switched Iris from this like great supportive girlfriend to this Roy Ward girlfriend,
like kind of meddling.
I just don't like they had them written so well. Like I love Felicity and Iris early in the shows, and it's not necessarily the character's fault. The writers wanted to make a drama out of something that should have been set in stone and done. Like very rarely do we get a show where there's a love interest, they get married, then we move on. Just that's it. We don't need to keep going back and forth with the early Barry Oliver Felicity love triangle, and then the we are the Flash, and then this is our daughter from the future, but this is my daughter from the future, but we need to leave her alone. But time travel's wrong, time travel's right. You know, I just still a huge fan of CW verse, but they definitely stumbled heavy right there.
All I care about is seeing an older Mojo Jojo. That's all I care about.
Oh my god, I do not want to see
Okay,
that.
Like,
I'm going to be really quick. I just have to get this out. This is bothering me so much. What could they possibly do to three girls who were created in a lab who actually did have quite a bit of a childhood, because the professor who created these girls made sure to have a very strict guidelines for these girls. It's not like they were Dexter's parents that were just completely oblivious to everything that was going on. The professor was like, no.
Yeah, he was watching every little thing.
Like, you won't do this, girls. You will save the world. Like, saves the world before bedtime. Like, that was their entire thing. And what you're telling me is that these are now disillusioned 20-somethings who didn't really have to go through a lot of normal hardship because they signed up to be superheroes, unfortunately. But then you tell me that they have to reunite. What somehow broke these three girls, these three sisters, up. Like, we have seen numerous.
That's what you would learn about. Yeah, like
Mr. Gamer. Now, what if they had to save the world and bedtime came? What would happen then?
You know what? I am so glad you asked, because they did have an episode about that. It involved the Boogeyman.
Oh, that's right.
So yes. So there were actually, they had the girls had to ask the professor, please, can we go save the town?
He had a handle on that.
Didn't the mayor also have to try to convince the professor or something
Yes.
What did the professor say? What was his initial response?
The professor said some dumb stuff. You know that.
So my question was, did the professor say it was okay at first, or did he say no, F that town? They'll be all right, get in bed. Is that what he said?
Okay, first of all, I am not going to properly respond to that because that was a leading answer. So what I'm going to say is he said no at the beginning. The mayor called and had to request that the girls please help save the town, though the town was in danger past their bedtime. Now, what leading statement do you have?
One quick thing. So he said no. He said F that town. Your bedtime is more important. So remember, we had this conversation when John Kent told Clark not to save.
Absolutely not.
Save those kids on the bus. Maybe he should have just let them die. So you
I was talking about the dog. I was talking about the dog in the beginning of Man of Steel.
No, KC, this is KC.
No, yeah, I take issue with him saying, let your classmates drown in a bus accident.
So the professor told them, forget the whole town. It's time for bed. So I just wanted to point that out. You may continue, man.
Okay, so here's the difference.
Is this
here's right? That was the road he was going down. So here's the difference, though, because I want to respond to that. Here's the difference. One is a drama, and the other is a comedy.
No.
Power Girls is a comedy show.
Superman should be a comedy.
That would have made sense if that was a comedy.
I appreciate the 6 grown black men talking about Powerpuff Girls. Just throwing it out there.
This was supposed to be a relatively small topic.
It was.
I was trying to keep it short.
No, I will.
I want to talk about Riverdale. Someone mentioned it. Riverdale season 1 surprisingly just fucked me, and I watched it all, and I had no idea what happened. I'm gonna check this out real quick, and I put it on, and then I was like, "Oh, this is good." I'm watching it. And then I watched all of it, so I can deal with a little bit of a teen drama every now and then. I like when people revisit old characters in general, in any, even with the Harlequin show, Kite Man, whatever.
You know what? I will say there is merit to. I won't say call them reboots, but how about this? Reboot continuations, right? For example, I just watched the trailer, and I probably should have been watching this before, and it just dropped on Netflix. The trailer for Cobra Kai looks really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only heard good things about it. No. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Because it used to be on YouTube Red.
I love it. I've seen it all on YouTube Red. Season 1 and 2. It's amazing. Go look.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, and I know the crazy thing is I've known about it for a while. It's filmed out here, and I was actually getting some extra work for it, and blah blah blah. Didn't work out, but the fact is, I've been hearing about this, and I'm like, why are they bringing this back? And so I actually sat down and watched the trailer. I'm like, this is a dope continuation. They basically flipped the script. Daniel said, looks like a jerk, like a super jerk.
Yeah, and stuff like that could be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's not CW.
Right.
That's the problem.
CW is the problem. There's a chance that they could come out with a dope first season, because they tend to do that sometimes, And I really do like this idea of them, because like Gamer's saying, I don't think they're disillusioned because their childhood is something bad, but it's not a regular childhood. You grow up as superheroes, that's not normal. So you're gonna have some kind of, it's gonna affect you in some way once you're an adult. And now that they're adults, we get to kind of see what happens. And because I loved the Powerpuff Girls cartoon as a kid, I think it's probably one of the best shows Cartoon Network has ever produced. Period. I would love to see more out of that universe.
I think we're talking from our perspective, because we would love to be superheroes when we were younger. Yeah. If you look at some of these reality shows, like My Super Sweet 16, stuff like that, those kids have everything that we could ever want, and they still have their negative issues going on in their lives.
I was just about to say.
But these girls were lab created at the end of the day, which is a trauma in its own once you become an adult. Right. And then you've got this perfect spoon-fed childhood and then you miss out on things that normal kids experience. You don't get like the normal hang out with my friends ordeal. I mean, they did, but it's not.
They did.
I said they did, but it's not the same as the regular kids. You have the same problem with the X-Men. You have the mutants. You are still a outlier, no matter how much of a regular child you try to get forced upon yourself.
I give you.
So once you're grown and out in the world, then that's trauma hidden somewhere, I'm sure. Also, same way y'all talking down on CW.
I'm sorry, bro. When you watch shows like The Watchmen, it's hard to look at The Flash and be like, "Oh, this is a quality show." Like, I'm sorry.
It's a good point.
Have you seen
bad, bro.
Charmed?
I've seen pieces of the new Charmed. Yeah, it's
Terrible.
it's not doing it for me.
It is hot nuclear garbage.
Do we have anything else on Powerpuff Girls before we move on to?
I don't want to see Mojo Jojo
at all, ever. Honestly,
Mojo.
And technically, he's their brother anyway. So,
Well, like, he's part of their family. I wouldn't say he's their brother.
okay,
Yeah.
well, cousin. We'll just keep it general.
Anyhow. All right,
Yep.
so let's leave Powerpuff Girls talk and move into the DC Fandome recap.
Oof.
So we're going to try to get through as much of the announcements that came out of DC Fandome as possible. Jeff, what do you got for us?
It's you, bro. This is your show.
So we got Ben Affleck will return as the Batman in The Flash. Not only is Ben Affleck, but there will be the Michael Keaton Batman as well. That's why multiple Batman will be included in the Ben Affleck Flash movie. What do you guys think about that?
I think why?
I think they're using it as a reboot movie. I think they will use Flashpoint or something similar to reboot the universe or fix the thing that, like Deadpool 2, how they went through and fixed continuity issues at the end of the movie. I think it'll be one of those mending the timeline type of movies. That's why I and fan service, of course. Cause Keaton
Right, yeah.
does that.
No, go
I
ahead.
definitely think that, especially using those actors, they're just trying to grab all the nostalgia and just lean on that instead of. I don't know what the story is. I'm not going to lean on that instead of story. But the fact is, that's the big announcement about this, and they've been using old actors in their show, in the crossovers, and it's like they're just leaning on that nostalgia. I understand it's part of the multiverse and that's how you bring stuff in. I think that's a super weak mechanic. The same with time travel. We'll get into that a whole nother time. But I'm not saying multiple universes are bad, but I hate that excuse to just bring in anything and everybody.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I can't get down with that shit too.
Since we are shaming CW, we should be shaming the DC Universe movies as well, off the rip. On the same strength. I want nothing more for a successful Justice League type film. I just think that DC has this serious Batman bone, and it won't go away. And we recast the Batman, we get a Gotham PD show, and 2 old Batmen in a Flash movie. Why do we need to get Batman and everything?
Why?
There's so many.
It's a lot.
Why are we not building up Reverse Flash?
As Sigma's wearing a Wade Tech shirt, brother.
Yes, because that was kind of the main thing that I took away from DC Fandome was like DC is Batman. Superman is not their main hero anymore. It's Batman. It's all about Batman. Not only were half the movie announcements Batman movies or Batman related properties, but the games are all in the Batman universe too. The Suicide Squad are Batman offshoots. Gotham Knights is all about Batman's children and such. Like, he must just sell them the most. He's just the most popular, and they know that, and they just focus on it to a fault almost.
Detective comics for a reason.
Detective comics.
He's a detective, right?
Trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah, I am interested. I love the cheap nostalgic throwbacks to old characters. As lazy as it is, I love it. I'm sucker for it. I'm like CW crossovers. I love it, all of them. I am here for all of them.
Like, crossovers are great. Like, I love crossovers, right? But just like Blue was saying, there's a problem with multiverses as a storytelling device. Yeah, and I feel like,
I agree.
Like DC, way before the movie stuff, has always had an issue with kind of just going back to that well way too often and confusing everybody in terms of like what's real, what's fake. Like they just pick and choose whatever's popular. And like because their movie franchises have been in kind of such dire straits, they decided they were going to reboot Batman again because they just like making money off of Batman. But then they're like, well, we had this other universe that we were trying to build, and Ben Affleck jumped off the train because it wasn't doing well. Well, this is a way, using this Flash movie, to make most of that make sense, to make the Robert Pattinson stuff make sense, and to maybe just after this movie comes out, pick and choose what the people liked and just go with that.
They said, which Batman do y'all want? We got all of
Right, like look, you got this one, you got that one. Do you want the Joaquin Phoenix Joker? We can try to digitally resurrect Heath Ledger if that's what you want. Like you want us to do that? Just tell us.
Well, if we're being honest, a lot of properties do that. So like Star Wars, they introduced that Rey was just some nobody, and then a different director took over the next movie. He just said, you know what?
Retconned it, yeah.
The fans didn't like that. Let's switch it to she's actually Palpatine's granddaughter. So a lot of movies do that. The difference is that with a lot of things, DC uses that as a plot device. Now, it can be good depending on how it's used. Like they had the Crisis on Infinite Earth. That was a really good crossover for CW show. The best crossover that they had to date. Even in the comics, it depends on how it's used. The Marvel's Endgame, they use time travel. Right? It depends on how it's used. If it's used shabby, then it's just going to be, hey, we just did that just to introduce this thing. But if it's used the proper way, it opens up a lot more possibilities and gives it a valid excuse or reason for it to be there.
It can definitely be fun.
I've said this before on the podcast. The best use of time travel I've seen to date is probably Watchmen. Right? That is the most interesting way I've seen it used, the most practical way, the way that doesn't leave it so open-ended where anybody can do anything. You know what I mean? And just like you said, Jeff, in Endgame, I thought it was terrible. It damn near killed the movie. Like, time travel cannot be your answer to everything.
It can't be the get out of jail free card.
It really can't.
And I feel like that's what that's what this multiverse stuff is kind of doing.
Exactly.
But it's even worse though, because it's instead of a get out of jail free card for the plot, it's a get out of jail free card for the properties. Yes.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
We don't know that yet. We don't know if they're going to introduce Robert Pattinson into this because the Joker was a standalone from the DC
the problem.
But that's because they say that, and then they do this movie, and then they can take it away. Then they can say, "Oh no, that's included now, just cause." So it's like,
it's a possibility.
I said this last time when we tried to record. The DC universe is afraid to use this tried and true model that Marvel uses for their movies that works. They, you have this. The Joker movie was successful. Keep the Joker. Like, it was fantastic. You've got several Batmen coming around now, which is fine when you have an established universe. Once you're established, you know what the you want to do in time travel. Because who cares? You already have a foothold. The Flash has so many cool villains. Like, even the non-speedsters. Like, Captain Cold will be a great reoccurring theme in a DC film universe. But like Zoom on the CW show was probably the most creepy thing I've ever seen in my entire life, on TV. That guy was creepy as hell. The all black suit, suit,
blue, right?
and the distorted view, and the distorted voice. It was. I think he was my favorite villain on the Flash because he had this. First of all, he was big. He was a big guy. He towered over Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And his mask had just enough detail around the mouth to look kind of like a horror film creature of some sort. It was beautifully done. And when you already have this established CW verse, like I said last time, just please, you have smarts. Just put them, take them and put them. Grant Gustin's a great Flash. Oliver Queen is an okay. I mean, Steven.
Don't go there. Don't do that.
I said okay.
He said we ain't got
okay. I said he was okay. I would much rather if they were to bring Stephen Amell over. He can do a comedic style actor. He's an okay actor. So you just don't make a Batman 2.0. There's no point of bringing over.
This man built the Arrowverse. There would be no Arrowverse.
He just acted in it. Stephen Amell didn't build it. What are you talking about?
He built it.
I think Stephen Amell, on top of his acting as Green Arrow, his social media presence was so huge during the early stages of the Arrowverse that he definitely built the Arrowverse. I agree with them because I got Stephen Amell on my social media, and that guy was everywhere during the Arrow stuff. And it wasn't until Grant Gustin got big as a Flash that things started spreading out from him. So yeah, I agree. And even though the writing wrote him as a Batman Green Arrow,
yeah, very much so.
He can play he can play Oliver Queen as Oliver Queen for sure. So you've got these parts, you have enough pieces in place already to just pull and pluck. So I don't know why we have to keep retrugging up different actors when Batman's going to sell. It's going to sell. You could cast anyone's Batman, it'll sell. People will bitch and moan on Facebook for 6 months, then spend all money on the movie theater when it comes out.
100% every time. Mr. Gamer, Anubis, what do you guys think?
I'm honestly just lost in the CW. I know nothing. I know nothing about this. I already don't like a lot of what CW produces. I can't get into Arrow or Flash or Supergirl or any any of that stuff. And then I'm just gonna let you guys take over. Eventually, there's gonna be a pile on Jeff. Jeff is gonna troll. And the cycle will repeat itself.
What about you, Anubis?
Man, look, whatever DC's doing with his video games and his animations, stick to that.
Yep.
The TV shows and all the damn universes and plot twists and all that to try to tie. Look, man, stick to your lane. What you're good at. I know there's a lot of money in movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Do it. It's a sad position to do it.
Their animations and their video games are just top notch, dude. Like, just
they own that market. I think Marvel is playing catch up in terms of the video game market
absolutely.
when it comes to DC.
Yeah, man. That first Arkham Asylum, dude. Like, what?
Yeah,
oh my
iconic.
Those Arkham games were set them off superhero games, and there weren't any that were anywhere near as good until Spider-Man came out finally. Yep. And that's why Spider-Man is heavily Arkham.
It's true.
How long did it take them to do that? You know what I mean? It's 2019, 2018 when Spider-Man came out.
Yeah, and that wasn't even really Marvel. That was from Sony, so it wouldn't even didn't really affect
It's just saying it's a Marvel property at the very least.
Yeah.
At the very least.
So let's talk about the Gotham Knights. What do you think about that? It's a co-op multiplayer game featuring the Red Hood, Barbara Gordon, Batwoman. We have Tim Drake, Robin, and we have the Red Hood, Jason Todd.
All right. So last time we talked, I said I hope that this is a game where we can play as the Bat family.
You did.
Yeah, you did. You did. Definitely did.
And I also stated that I wanted to play Tim Drake very bad.
You did.
So here we are. Flash forward 2 weeks. We got my man Tim Drake teleporting.
Oh right, yeah. Like that's I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a thing he's ever done?
Ra's al Ghul, League of Shadows stuff.
It's tech. He's heavy on tech. He's the detective tech guy. He's the Donatello of the Bat family, if you will.
Okay. That's actually
he's got staff. He's the smarter one. He's the detective, as Al Ghul calls him in the Red Robin comic book run, which is great. Read it, all of you. I am very excited. Like I mentioned earlier about Avengers, I wish there was a built-in team attack feature. And if you watch the trailer,
I think there is something like that, right?
He has one with Batgirl. Him and Batgirl kicks some person into the air, and he's fucking fighting down with his staff. Which is a throwback to the Robin War comic book series. When they're all captured, they have this beautiful 4-man Robin team thing going on. You've got Grayson's acrobatics in the play. It's lovely. I love the idea of a co-op Arkham style game. I cannot wait to play it. I hope it's early in 2021. If not, I might cry a little bit when they announce the date, honestly.
Now, the only thing I wish they would have added was Duke. He was the one of the newest members of the Bat family.
Yeah, I'm hoping they add not Damien, because I have to watch him. I'm hoping they add Duke. I would love. I would love for them to add Kathy Kane as well. There's and Azrael. There's so many other characters in Batman's universe that we could use. That's not Batman, but whatever, you know.
I mean, they're not Batman, but they're Batman.
But like, we can leave our demon forever. Honestly, he can be dead for all I care.
I mean, that's what they say.
Oh my gosh.
It does look very, very good. I mean, the graphics look great. The abilities look great. I wonder if there's going to be character progression for each character.
It seemed like it. Like there was like a gameplay trailer afterwards that kind of, I think it followed Batgirl for a little while, and they said that they had given her some abilities that she doesn't get till later or something. So, yeah, it seems like even if you play the game single player, like you would play with individual characters and you would level them up separately, so you can like maybe do specific things that only that character can do somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
And then you can just swap between them. And if you're playing with multiple people, I wonder if you can just swap between the other two characters or something like that, because it seems like the whole world is geared towards co-op. Like it's not supposed to be a single player thing. Like you need all those characters.
Now, what it did say, you could switch. So I'm thinking it'll be you'll pick between the two, and you can change to each one at will, kind of like
maybe, yeah.
So that's Now, so I have a question. So a lot of you played the Arkham series, played at least one installment in the series. What is something that stuck out in each one of those series that you played that you want to see in this iteration?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the combat animation.
That's
honestly,
go ahead.
I'm gonna half answer your question, Jeff.
No, either answer it all the way or don't answer.
Nah, bro. So this is what happened, right? Something that I didn't like of the old games that I like in this one is the absence of Batman. I'm super tired of this man. And I like that they just said he's dead. Here's his final message. Obviously, there's going to be some more things that he will. Whatever.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah. Of course he's coming back, right? But I do like that they're saying this is not a Batman game. This is Batman's family. And, you know, they're going to deal with the loss in different ways. And, you know, that's going to be a little emotional. So I'm actually more excited about this story than I have been for any other DC game I've played recently.
Ever.
Probably ever. Yeah, that's probably a good word.
You're right.
Without going too far into it, I think Batman is very cheaply written, and I just don't like his character. Not saying that he doesn't have cool moments that I'm a fan of, but in general, I don't like him. But I kind of like the dark, gritty area that he's in, and I want to see someone else thrive and do something in it. So it's cool to see the absence of Batman in these games, and I hope it stays that way. I hope they're not just talking about him the whole time, and it's just like, you know.
And then, he's in the game after chapter 1. He's in the game.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I was just faking my death. I'm gonna lead you guys from the shadows. Like, no, man, I'm so dang mad if that's what happened. Yo, insta return. You know what I mean? I'm by the disc just so I can bring it back.
Now for me, it's gonna be the story. So, I mean, if you all know, you know, Dick Grayson grew up in Batman's shadow. He was being groomed to be the new Batman, essentially. So for me, the Arkham games always had a great story. You know, the combat was great, but the story was always there. So I think that's going to be very important to me, is a story going through this. I mean, they said Court of Owls are involved, which is great. I also want to see how they combat these villains that, you know, Batman being, you know, years ahead of each one of them. You know, it's going to take two of them to take down somebody like Mr. Freeze or whatever it is, and how, you know, they deal with that.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I like to see, you know, very iconic fight scenes and like maybe the cut scenes. You know, when Batman and Slade went at it, bro.
Oh man, yeah,
crazy. You know,
you're absolutely right.
Really good, well put together fight choreography, even if it is just, you know, computer generated or whatever.
Yep.
But I really want to see some very distinct stylized fighting, you know, from each character,
like,
and not
deliberate animation.
You know,
yeah.
It's not kind of overlaced over each other. I want to see very distinct styles of combat, because they all have their strengths and weaknesses. So that's something that I'm very interested in seeing.
So you Anubis, you being a firearm instructor, does that kind of make you want to play as Red Hood? Do you kind of want to be able to use the pistols and whatnot, and kind of go in there and bring your own brand of justice?
I don't know, man. I think because obviously, like, I don't know if Red Hood's gonna be like, murdering people. Right? So
that's what I like about him.
Are these stun guns or something? Or
They're probably gonna be like, oh, these are rubber bullets, and like
right, something like that.
Blank range.
Right.
If I want to see that, I'll wait for John Wick 4. Right? But,
Yeah.
I'm interested in not Batgirl, but
Nightwing,
Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
I kind of want to see him.
Yo, did you see his little breakdance joint in the trailer? What was
he
that?
stayed doing that though. He stayed doing that.
But like, with the freaking things flying around behind him too, that was wild.
That looked extra.
Bro. Yeah.
All right, so me personally, in terms of what I liked about the other games, like you guys were saying, I liked those sections where you played as another character, like the section where you were like Robin or Harley Quinn or whatever. Yeah, like I thought those were cool little mini stories inside the bigger story. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, like Robin's probably one of my favorite DC characters.
No, I never knew that.
Which Robin?
Like kind of just Robin. Yeah, kind of just Robin in general, not like
sidekicks.
I like Robin as a sidekick in general. Like he's like the best sidekick. I think he was like the first sidekick.
Now is that from Teen Titans or did you just?
No, it was kind of over time. Like not so much from Teen Titans, but just the character in general. I just like. I don't know. I just like the idea of Robin as an auxiliary to Batman.
I'm a huge Robin fan. I feel you.
Right. So like a game where you can kind of just play as a bunch of Robins essentially. Like that kind of that's kind of cool.
It's a dream come true.
It's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I will say, doing the Arkham style games as a co-op thing strikes me as an interesting choice. I wonder how they plan to make that work without kind of diluting like the navigation and the puzzle solving that was kind of a key feature in those games. Because like when you have two people looking at like an environmental thing, maybe they can sometimes make the navigation more trivial because they don't want you stuck on that situation because you're with another person. So I don't know.
Arkham Knight had this horrible feature with the Batmobile being the crutch to all the puzzles.
Kinda, yeah.
So you eliminate the Batmobile and you place in player 2.
Well, I mean, there are cars like Batgirl was on the bike for some of that.
You don't have to use the Batmobile to be your crutch for puzzles. You have the other player or the other character. So I think that's how they're going to navigate stuff. Like, say you got a room of lasers, you got the ever so elusive and acrobatic Nightwing, flipping about the room of lasers, but then you got a room where you need guns for some reason. You got Red Hood to solve your problem. I think that will solve Arkham Knight's horrible puzzle problem.
Like I would hope that they would go the route where there's more than one solution. Where it's like, okay, so like this is a room, and yes, maybe there's a laser trap that Nightwing can flip through, or maybe there's a button on the opposite side of the room that Red Hood can just shoot. Right? Yeah. So like I think that would probably be the best version of that. I just don't want it to be where they do like the Gears of War thing. Was like, okay, you have two people, so both of you press this button at the same time. Like that's like that. Yeah, like that's like lazy.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
FF7 button press. Boom.
Right, yeah, or like what was it, like a Tom Clancy thing where you got to lift somebody up on your head to get up on the ledge, like that just feels lazy. It's like you need two people to do the thing, but it's not that engaging.
Yeah, no.
I think that's cool for games like that where you're not a freaking acrobatic superhero when you're like super spy. That's cool. I can deal with that. But if I can jump off a building and not die, I'd rather not have to use my buddy to hop up on the ledge.
Right.
I think I'm a little cautious of this multiplayer melee feel. I really hope it's not like Assassin's Creed Unity. I think it was the one that took place during the French Revolution.
Yeah, that was Unity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that one, when we got into multiplayer, it was a very small level. You got to kill one dude, and granted, there was multiple ways to do it, but it was like, okay, get past these 3 guards, and then you get the big guy. Like, that's most of their multiplayer missions, and that was really frustrating. And I hope, and I'm praying that Arkham Knight doesn't do something similar. Now, granted, when you were in the fight, as short-lived as it was dope, right?
It was,
but
dope. Yeah.
but that's it. It was like a really quick.
But you lose out on it. You lost out on the Assassin's Creed navigation, and scaling, and honestly,
they did look like they was on top of buildings and stuff in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean like Assassin's Creed, like in the missions, you lose out on traversing through the map to the mission. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, okay. I feel
yeah. But this game looks like you're together the whole time, as opposed to just with Unity. It was a mission. You'd only be together for that mission.
Stages.
Well, we hope so. We don't know what it's going to be.
I think they said it's like drop in, drop out co-op. So like, you could just be in the world doing whatever, and then a friend can jump in with you. So I will. Off the strength of that, I do want to point out. Yes, this is a Gotham. It's like an Arkham series game. It seems like, right? It's taken off from the Arkham series, but it's not Rocksteady's game. This is WB Montreal, and they were the ones who made Batman Arkham Origins, I think, right? Yeah. So this is kind of the B team who's on this project, even though it does look good from the trailer so far. You got the A team, Rocksteady, who's making Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, which we got a trailer for out of this thing, right?
This also takes place in the Arkham universe, so let's not...
So this is also in that same universe?
Yeah. The Gotham Knights is not in the Arkham universe, from what I get.
Oh, it's not?
No, but just Suicide Squad is, from what I read.
Huh.
This is the annoying part about DC.
Kinda.
Because Arkham Knight ends with Batman.
It's right, it does. It makes sense.
But it does make sense. But have you seen DC stuff ever?
Right, fair.
Makes sense.
Fair point.
That's very fair.
I feel like it might be like an Elseworlds tale. But I could have something completely wrong.
They might just be giving themselves deniability because, like I was saying, like this isn't Rocksteady that's making this game. Like it's the off studio. So if it doesn't turn out the way they want, they can be like, oh well, it's not gonna mess up this other thing that you guys love. Meanwhile, Rocksteady's like, we're sticking to that universe. We're just using all of these other characters.
Now, do we know if the Suicide Squad game is going to be a co-op game or not?
That one's also co-op. That one's like 4-player co-op. That one's instead of the 2-player thing.
Can you play King Shark? Because I'm here for that.
Yeah,
I mean, he's in there. So
and you can level up their weapons and their gear and all that good stuff. Now, me initially hearing about this game, like that's gonna stupid. Like Suicide Squad takes on the Justice League. Really, this is what we're doing. But seeing that trailer and how good they look, even though that wasn't gameplay, and how they mesh together and they have personality.
Yeah, like the humor seems to be on point.
Yeah, and the realization of Superman being their target was hilarious.
Yes, Superman as a bad guy is always a good story.
That too last time we saw.
Yes, we did. They made Superman the antagonist, and it's not just regular Superman and they're going against him. It's like no, Superman's a problem and they're going against him.
He's the actual problem.
Like he just murdered a guy in front of their face.
I'm hoping Captain Boomerang plays like he looks like in that little cinematic because that looks fun as hell.
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it looked like he was teleporting too. Actually.
Yeah, on some Monado stuff. You know what I mean? He was throwing in just teleporting.
Yeah, right throwing the boomerang. Yeah, it was very yellow flash with him.
Yeah. Nice. So we didn't really see. I don't think we saw like gameplay from that, though. But it is Rocksteady, so I can imagine it would probably play a lot like Arkham, which is what Gotham Knights is going to play like. So I mean, does that crowd the market having two of these very similar like games? No.
Maybe 40 on Paul.
Yeah. Right. The more the merrier.
Every time I play, like I'll throw on Arkham Knight every now and then just to play through the little battle mode, whatever.
Yeah.
And just the fluidity of the counterattacks and the combos, it looks so good.
Like I
said last time about Ghost of Tsushima, I expect the bar to be set right there when it comes to combat animation.
I'll give you that.
Tsushima, every attack is very deliberate and fluid, and I want the same thing in these games going forward. If they're going to be martial arts style games, if you have hand-to-hand combat, nothing lazy.
Nope.
Yeah, I feel that.
Nothing lazy.
Yeah. Now I don't think it's a coincidence when go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
especially when the people fighting are Batman and Co.
Yeah, because they're trained martial artists.
Yeah. You know, so. I don't want nothing lazy. Nothing lazy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because definitely that like Anubis was saying, the fight choreography is like very important. I mean, one of the best fights with it, like you said, was with that Slade Wilson and Batman fight in and was that Arkham Origins? Yeah, that was Arkham Origins, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a cinematic opening
Yeah.
for that game, I think.
Yeah, and that was like one of the best fights in the entire series.
But that's WB Montreal. So, well, I mean, but they didn't do that trailer, I guess. Like they could have hired some outside company to do the trailer.
Yeah, but the combat after the mechanics on how you had to fight them and whatnot were still prevalent even once the cutscene was done. But now we do know they also announced the Suicide Squad movie. Now, I think I made a big point to push this before, where in the past a lot of properties have used toys or movies or video games to push the other. So I don't think it's a coincidence that they announced both at the same time. Now,
At the same time, yeah, that was good.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the introduction of the Suicide Squad not being the same iteration as the first one?
You mean in the movie?
Yeah, so
I think it's a common.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's a common DC tactic. Just do whatever they want.
Suicide Squad has had a bunch of different members throughout the years anyway.
Yeah.
So it's never been like a set roster, so that way they have, plausible deniability. But like,
Again,
what do you think?
yeah.
What do you think about James Gunn kind of taking the helms of this and adding, his type of spin to the Suicide Squad formula?
I trust James Gunn in all his creepiness. When you have a sequel, I think it's good to keep characters and introduce new things. I wish they would have used the exact same team from the game. If you're gonna change characters, you might as well just make it, push
Like
harder.
match up with the. Okay.
Yeah, that's just me. It's irrelevant, it's a personal thing. It doesn't make it bad or anything, but I wouldn't mind seeing Captain Boomerang on screen, not in CW.
So I mean, James Gunn has proven himself as a pretty good ensemble cast director. Like with Guardians of the Galaxy, like you really saw him let each of those characters shine in the story that was told, right? So I think that's what they're chasing with Suicide Squad on DC's side. Because whatever came before, I can't even tell you who directed the first movie, but that was an awful, awful movie.
I didn't hate it. I know it was bad, but
that movie was real bad to me.
I didn't hate it, but they did shoehorn in Batman, so yeah.
Yeah, that's how people like it. If you put Joker in a movie or show and you put Batman, you don't even have to put both of them in the same show. It's going to sell because DC fans are just going to eat that up no matter what.
You're not wrong. But I will say, I honestly feel like you can't do any worse than the last Suicide Squad movie. It almost doesn't matter what this new movie is.
Like
it's gonna be better. No, it wasn't. No, it was not.
That's how I feel.
It was a C-rated movie.
Worst movie that the DC has made Batman vs Superman. That movie was absolute garbage.
I don't even think.
When I was thinking about
No. That Harley Quinn movie was the worst. I don't know what you're talking about.
I haven't seen the Harley Quinn movie yet.
The Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey was way better than
that movie was the worst.
All right, so
We can talk about that another
definitely
time,
a cavalcade of opinions on this one. But I think we can all agree that this new Suicide Squad movie has a better chance than the last one. But that's really all I can, because I don't think I have a lot of excitement for it, honestly.
No face DC movies at all. Ever.
Right. So when it comes out, I guess I'll just have to see what it looks like then.
I go in a movie theater with straight face with no expectations at all. Whatever happens.
Okay, well, Reggie Hudlin partners with DC for the return of Milestone Comics in 2021. How do we feel about this?
Like I know you comics guys.
Good job, Wendy.
Say that again, Anubis.
For the first year,
I said, good job, Wendy.
Yeah. Good job, Reggie. Now they also talked about.
It'll be.
Well, go ahead.
I think it'll be great for the first 2 months. Then when they realize that they actually have to write these characters, then here comes the issue. Like you could rewind back to the Return of the X-Men in the Marvel books. You had the Iceman Soul run, the Jean Grey Soul run, and all these X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold. People were hyped for them. We said that the X-Men were getting their own stories again. And after a few weeks, we were like, these aren't that good. Like,
Now, I think these being
I
black
love
characters
Iceman.
and coming from the Dakota verse. Hopefully they bring some of that same stuff we were talking about earlier with, Tulsa, Watchmen, and Lovecraft Country. That they incorporate some of the real life struggles with like Icon and Rocket Girl and Static. They incorporate some of what's going on in the world into their story, but not make that be their story. I think if they do that, I think it'd definitely be something I want to read.
And I think they'll be fantastic. Like I said, I'll give them a good 6 months of strong runs. But when you run out of those ideas like that, once you're done with Tulsa and stuff like that, how do you write characters as heroes going forward as well? Because I'm always afraid, like I said last time we talked, about things turning into black trauma porn.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, no, that's...
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anubis, what were you gonna say on that?
Yeah.
No, I was just, and that's the thing. It's like, you turn it into trauma porn, and then it absolutely takes away from not only the characters, but takes away from the universe, that you're trying to create and everything else. So if it's just, slightly juxtaposed along the story, the actual arc of the characters, then it's palatable. But if it's just like trauma, and there's no development of the characters outside of racism, to me that really doesn't make a I don't want to see that.
All you do is check boxes in your diversity box at that point, which is
So when there's a hero concept come along, do you focus on making it a black superhero, or do you focus making it on the superhero in general?
I've written various black focused characters, but I try not to make it so much about them being black. Although most of my characters are, like Acid of the Gods is like it's a completely black universe. And I don't know if that would work in mainstream or anything like that, but I will say that they're just black characters, but they're not like they're characters, right?
But so the characters first.
I try to write in three-dimensionality in their bios and everything else, to where you kind of forget, like, oh yeah, it's a black guy, right? It's something that an Asian person might go through, or a Native American person might go through, right? So I don't think that it always has to involve the social things that we deal with, but if it's like I said before, if it's certain layers that you add to the story, you can always sprinkle some different things in there without overbearing the characters or the story.
So I had a question in regards to the milestone thing, because I mean this comic company was mostly black owned, black run, and had featured black characters before it merged with DC and stuff, right? Was kind of the trauma story writing a problem that they had beforehand in terms of like their character stuff, or was it after kind of DC got involved with them, or like was it never a thing? Because I know a lot of these characters kind of just haven't had runs in a long time, right?
I think the issue is people, like, currently people don't buy comic books in general. It's an issue. Like, if you look at my Static issue, Static had a New 52 run, I think it was, and it bombed. People get on the internet and they clamor and rant and rave and hype out wanting black characters, but then when you get them in a medium where you have to pay for the medium, they don't pay for the medium, so the characters bomb out. I have all the faith in the world that they will be able to reestablish this universal milestone, but we will not see as many characters that we get at first in the future. I think Static has a big enough fan base to maybe pull through, but I don't know about Icon and stuff like that, because you have your even your black fans say he's Superman clone, and they write him off.
Right.
There's no nostalgia attached to Icon at all. You have to introduce a new character, but when he's Superman type, people write him off. So I don't know. I don't think the trauma porn was an issue at the time, but I think it's an issue now, because we have a lot of writers that are
exploiting
non-black writers that are left leaning liberal white folk writing these black stories, and they still don't know, no matter how woke they claim to be, what it means to be black.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, is that something we think we're gonna get in, like, a lot of like white authors writing for these black characters? Because I feel like that's something a lot of people in these positions know not to do nowadays. Is like, look, if you want to tell a black story that appeals to black people, hire a black writer.
Yeah, you know that, but look at New Mutants. I think it was. You have Sunspot or whatever his name is. He cast him as a white guy because he wanted to give off the appearance of a spoon-fed guy. That's his. He wanted to give off that appearance. So in this 2020 world, this man indirectly said that he only thinks white folk can have the experience of a spoon-fed person. So
Right.
People know, but do they really care? That's really all it boils down to.
Yeah. Right. It's a good point.
Now, Milestone Comics in the past did deal with a lot of issues to deal with teen pregnancy. One of the reasons that they were taken down was because they were told not to publish a comic book cover that had a condom on the front of it.
Oh, that's right. I remember
that hinted at it. They published it anyway. Went through some issues with DC, stopped funding them and stuff like that. But they did kind of touch on a lot of stuff that was being dealt with in the black community. Not so much as racism all the time, but it did touch on teen pregnancy, absent fathers, stuff with single moms, stuff like that. So,
gang culture.
I hope they know, and they're seeing that people want black characters that are, no different than any other superhero.
Exactly.
They want black vampires, black witches, etc. We don't need to be force-fed racism absent fathers, because that's an issue that we know.
Yeah.
We know.
I mean,
It's sad.
And honestly, like, it's not the only identity for the entire black community. Like, that's not all there is to black people, so.
No. Does anybody have anything else about Milestone Comics, or we're gonna move on to the Static Shock movie?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Let's keep pushing.
Right, so Static Shock movie is in the works. It has been confirmed. They haven't announced a director or anything, but it is definitely in the works. How do we feel about this? Any nostalgia from the early cartoon?
I hope that they name this movie Static.
I was just gonna ask that.
That way, people can stop calling Virgil Static Shock because his hero name is Static. All I got to say about this.
So where does Static Shock? Static Shock is just the name of the cartoon. Is that it?
Static Shock is the name of the cartoon, and they had a comic run that's also called Static Shock. But
you can't blame people for that.
His superhero name is Static.
To get it right.
I'm just saying, Spider-Man has a comic book run called The Amazing Spider-Man. We all call him Spider-Man. We know better.
I mean, amazing's an adjective. Like, that's a weird tagline to the end of your superhero comic, right?
I don't know, man. I feel like you sound like me when the Mandalorian dropped and everybody kept calling the creature Baby Yoda. I'm like, it's not a Baby Yoda. It's a Yoda-like character. I feel like that's
he's referred to as the child in the credits.
The child. He is the child. Yeah, but
that's all I've got.
I got you, bro.
Okay.
I personally was a fan.
Hold on, what you got, Anubis?
My bad. I gotta take a quick break.
You're good.
Okay.
No problem.
We're finishing up right now.
Yeah, we'll be done in like another 15, 20, if that.
Well, Gamer has to go in like 10, 13 minutes.
Okay.
All
right, we'll try to wrap this up when Anubis gets back. Say again? I'm sorry.
I never cared for the cartoon, personally. It had a great, very catchy theme song, but other than that, I wasn't a huge fan. The whole flying on trash lady kind of threw me off first.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
That was kind of lame. I'm not going to say it on audio.
Like, why is he using trash? He's a superhero.
He leveled up later. He had a little unfolded.
He got his disc.
Eventually, you all got to start somewhere.
Yeah, everybody.
Right, like Captain America used the trash can once, right? And he's like, "Yeah, this ain't it," right? Static was using it for a minute, and then he got an upgrade because he didn't know no better, and that's the worst part about it.
I like Static as a character. He needs to be around for sure.
Let's wrap this up.
I don't care about this. The show can go F off all I care.
Yeah.
But in terms of a movie, though, like, what's your excitement levels?
I told you, I got one thing. If it's called Static, I'm up here.
Right.
Off screen up here. If it's called Static Shock, I'm back here. And I don't see it, but like, you know.
Yeah, me personally, I did like the cartoon. Like, it's not one of my favorites, but I thought it was fine. I like
it was probably fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I feel like. I don't know what it is with black superheroes and electricity powers, but that just seems to be a weird theme.
Plague among freaking humanity. I'm like, what?
Excuse, as one that has licked a car battery, it ain't bad.
Car battery.
He said it ain't bad.
So,
I don't even know what to do with that information.
Let's not dig in on
The specifics.
Yeah, like let's just not worry about that. It's just, hey, some people just like electricity. That's it.
Anyhow, I would like this movie to do good because I do think for a solo DC Comics black hero, Static is probably a much better choice than Cyborg because I think Cyborg is super
100%.
boring.
Cyborg's a horrible character.
He's super boring. They plan to give him a movie, and it would have been trash just because the character is trash.
So boring. He's so boring.
As much as I love Cyborg, I understand. And understand that he's just another cheap tool in the
he's a tool
because he's
a boom tube device.
Yeah, he's a boom tube. He's a Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? Oh, we can't get in the slot. Done. You know what I'm saying? He's R2D2.
He's a writing crutch.
He's R2D2.
Oh wow,
it's really sad.
You're right.
Wow.
Like he's like the same color scheme too. Like,
Son.
Yes,
I can't wait to see the Batman cameo on Static. It'll be great.
oh man.
It's
All
gonna
right.
happen.
If
Mark my words, it'll happen.
does that wrap up the Static movie stuff?
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, so we'll move off of that. We're gonna skip our mailbag again because we are running low on time. But I just wanted to call attention to, as we close this out, the passing of Chadwick Boseman, the actor now most famous for portraying Black Panther, King of Wakanda. Apparently, he had colon cancer, and he'd been battling it since 2016. So for the past 4 years, and several movie roles, he's been dealing with this this disease, and it finally kind of caught up with him. So our hearts and prayers go out to his friends and family. The man had millions of fans the world over, and
he was the king.
Like seriously, like
Even before Black Panther, he was like
right, like he regularly portraying like just black icons.
He
like
was
yes,
for the culture.
yeah.
And to be able to do all of that through his cancer, and the cherry on top, I don't think anybody knew anything about this.
Nope. No.
This didn't come out as like, oh, TMZ exclusive. No, this was like this was like from him keeping it to himself, not causing anything, and just keep on, just like everybody was saying, like he is an icon. He truly is. I am completely blown away. There was a Facebook post to the effect of Black Panther isn't a black movie. Black Panther is a superhero movie where it's celebrating just blackness, and that I like, how many times worldwide did people just see Black Panther? It was phenomenal.
It was insane how much unity and love came from the Black Panther movie. I
in general.
Like people at the movie theaters take pictures with each other that like strangers that you don't ever see. And like shout out to him to be able to bulk up like that for that role.
Right.
While going through colon cancer.
Seriously.
Colon cancer, bro. I've tried to bulk up several times, and I eat. And the colon, man, once you have some type of cancer like that, it's very hard to digest anything properly. So I'm like, man, I mentally, I'm just kind of like dedication to your craft to the
insane
10,000th power. Like, it's just insane to me. And then when they ridiculed him when he made that post and he was looking, kind of sickly and skinny, and people were clowning and talking. I was like, yo, man, this brother might really be going through. It's not cocaine. It's not drugs. It's not, what nefarious like you buttholes are talking about. He's really going through something. And I've seen actors that are character actors that'll lose like 80 pounds to play a role. And I was like, I don't know, Chadwick took a role on, but he doesn't look well. And then lo and behold, this is what we find out what it is. So I'm like, you jerks, and just shame on y'all, man.
Yeah, but
man, you're putting that so politely.
Right, because I also came across like a Facebook post where someone was kind of just trying to downplay the impact. Like they were going on saying like, oh well, he's an actor. I don't want to take away from him, being a great actor, but like he's not Black Panther. He's not the actual character. The character is, gonna live on. They can recast him and like they can do this, that, and third. And, like, it's not about that. Honestly, like it's not like outside of his role as Black Panther, he has been he's portrayed Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, like several Black icons, and then to go from that historical, actual Black heroes to then take on the role of a fictional Black hero that's not just a Black superhero, but is a king of a fictional and
a young king too,
fictional African country that colonialism didn't touch. Do you know what that is like? To like the Black community, like this is a world that's
heaven.
Like yes, like
Wakanda is heaven.
Like that movie, and the fact that it was Chadwick who was picked to star in that movie, like both those things combined are so much bigger than like the individuals put together. Like that meant something to a lot of us. Like me as an African, like a first generation African immigrant. Well, not immigrant because I was born here, but like I'm first generation. Like my family, they're from Nigeria. Like what that movie did in terms of kind of popularizing African culture, bringing it to the forefront, is something that has not happened in this country for like several years. Like I made a video about this that I just put back on my Twitter, kind of re-promoting because it was about the impact of this movie on the culture and me specifically. Like it means a lot, and to just kind of wake up. It was like in the evening yesterday to see that headline. Like it was unbelievable. Like it was a shock.
Yeah. My wife told me. She was like, "Oh my God, did you hear Chadwick Boseman?" And I'm like, "No, what about him? He bulked up again?" She's like, "No, he died." And my heart was just like,
it was the same effect as like the same type of shock as Kobe.
Right.
Death earlier this year.
Within the same year, like, geez.
The same year, bro.
You hit both. You hit two giant sides of the Black community at the same time.
Yeah.
You have your sports jocks and your comic book nerds. And, we're all in between, but that's two icons ripped away within a year of each other.
And to even add to that tragedy, John Lewis, like he just passed away. He's a member of my frat, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Like he just passed away, civil rights icon. So like, what is this year?
And on top of all the police ordeal, I'm supposed to say police.
Yeah, like just the cherry on top, right?
Yeah,
like Black people have been grieving for a very long time now.
Since like February, when I think Kobe passed.
So
February,
interesting synchronicity. So he played Jackie Robinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Robinson's number was 42.
That's
a lot of people don't know that Jackie Robinson was in the 761st Black Panther all-black tank battalion in World War II.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not know that.
So he plays Jackie Robinson, and he plays the Black Panther. He dies when he was 43 when he died, or 42,
yeah.
43?
43.
Come on, man. It's wild to think about, bro. Jackie Robinson's number was 42. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just very interesting that that these things are happening in this particular year, and I don't want to get spooky or metaphysical or anything like that, but it's just it's just something that we got to pay attention to. You know what I mean?
Right. So, was there anything, Jeff? Did you want to add anything to?
No, man. Like I said, I'm still can't believe it. We was in a group chat on Group Me, and my buddy told us, and I called him an effing liar. I was like, "You lying? Like I don't believe you. Like you're like
it was legit unbelievable."
Yeah, like no, you're lying. Like and I immediately went and looked. I mean, because you get a lot of these fake deaths that people post online. It's like, please, let this just be one of them. Let this be one of them. I don't know, whatever.
Betty White done died like 7 times last year.
Yeah, and it's like
Betty White, Jackie Chan died once a week.
Little Wayne, and I'm like, please let it be somebody like that. Like,
where?
Oh no!
And I'm like, no, this, And my girl was asleep. She's like, how come you didn't wake me and tell me? Like, she was really upset that I didn't wake her and tell her that he passed away. And it's like, it's even not knowing him, knowing what he's done, knowing how he's carried himself through all this time. It's like, yeah, I didn't know him. We weren't friends, but through his work, I came to think of him as a brother, as somebody that, I can look up to, so it's just still unbelievable.
Yeah, it hurts.
I do want to apologize. Unfortunately, I have to go save the day. So I do want to thank all of our guests. Again, I do apologize for this one. But have a good one, everybody.
All right, go ahead. We're going to go ahead and just wrap things up anyhow. So, once again, thanks everyone for listening. I want to thank our guests from Chocolate City Comics for coming through. Really appreciate that. Jeff, where can people find you if they're looking for you on the internet?
So you can find me on Superman Jeff 12. That's across all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also check us out on our Discord. The link will be at the bottom in the description if you guys want to come in and join. We talk about a lot of things that we talked about here. Also, we play different games, and we have a very good, solid community of like-minded individuals who you can come on and kind of make a gamership with, if you will.
Gamership, I like that.
That's nice. Blue, where can people find you?
It's your boy Blue Bones BLUB0NES. Yeah, man, follow me. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Search BLUB0NES, you find me. I'm doing a lot more streaming the last couple of weeks. So definitely come in and check it out. We're gonna have some more people. I think some of our stream team is still trying to get their footing before they get on the channel, but I think you're gonna see a lot more next week. And yeah, that's basically it. Cool. But yeah, Sigma, go for it.
Before I close out, James, where can people find you on the internet if they're looking for you, and what projects are you working on that you maybe want to let them know about?
Me personally, Instagram, Hero #1 Cosplay, Twitter, S_S Cosplay. I got to change that, but I haven't changed it yet. And then Chocolate City Comics on Instagram and Twitch, as is. Also Facebook, same way. I am working on getting together a renewed Twitch stream for Chocolate City Comics Gaming. And we are also doing some film projects that cannot disclose at the current point in time, but when we get some more information, we will be putting out some things. But there's this black culture moment we have going on with movies is not ending anytime soon. That I can tell you.
Yeah. Awesome.
There's some treats coming.
Looking forward to that. Anubis, how about you? Where can people find you on the internet, and what projects do you have coming?
So Anubis Haru, you can find me on Facebook. Not too much on Twitter, but I'm on there. Instagram mostly, posting a lot of gun shit. I have a web series, and I have a new title called Tuscaloosa that's in production. And then just working on this YouTube channel for Chocolate City Comics, trying to pull all that together. That's pretty much it, man.
Good stuff. Thank you guys so much for coming through. You can find me at Sigma Gears 9 on pretty much all social media, Sigma and Son on Facebook, and 3-minute reviews is the line of videos that I do for Escapist's YouTube channel, and just started a solo stream that I'm going to be doing on Tuesdays. So when this podcast comes out that evening, you should be able to watch my first episode of Post 3MR. It's kind of like a 3-minute reviews recap thing where you get to talk with me and other 3-minute reviewers for longer periods of time on the certain games and whatnot that we've been playing and reviewing for the site. But once again, thanks to my very special guest from Chocolate City Comics. Really appreciate you guys coming through and doing this talk with us, especially after the last time we couldn't get the actual episode out. So sorry about that, but we made it work. Thanks to my two co-hosts. Thanks to Gamer who had to leave early. Thanks to everybody watching and listening. That's going to do it. Peace.
Adios.
Take care.
Picture me riding and rolling with models. Brand new Ferraris like we was winning the lotto. And that's not no squad is with me. Pouring the bottle, playing that ONG music that's gonna blow like Chicago. Carry